On this James the Bike Guy, we're going to talk about the new bike. But as you can see here, for some reason it's decided to snow even in April. Luckily, it's probably not going to be here long. You can see even the stone paths are still a little bit too warm to get packed up with snow, but we have gotten a couple inches of snow, and that's okay because the new project bike, it's not built up anyways. It came to my local bike shop just the other day, and they were kind enough to get it unboxed, get it set up and built up for me, and then I brought this poor bike home and I stripped absolutely everything off of it. And that's because a few upgrades are coming for this bike. So I'll stop the video right there just because I want to address the reason that I'm not going to run the SRAM NX Eagle. So SRAM NX is great stuff, I've got nothing against it, but I really wanted to do something new that I haven't used before on one of my mountain bikes. And so in that case, I figured since I've had SRAM GX on a lot of different bikes, it would make sense to try something else. And I think that might come in a blue box. So in case you guys can't tell, what I ended up going with is this Trek Fuel EX7. I got it in a medium large size. It's a 29er. It comes with 2.6 inch tires and some pretty nice geometry. I think this is the right choice because this is going to be the new project bike for the channel. And what we have here is full suspension. This is Trek's ABP suspension setup. It's of course boost. It runs through a Fox DPS rear shock, which is a pretty nice shock, and it's an aluminum frame. And this does run Trek's Alpha Platinum aluminum, so this is kind of their top end or high end aluminum. It's 130 travel out back, 140 travel up front, and I've stripped this because I want to make a few videos on it before I get it built up with my new specs. So if you guys have some thoughts or ideas, might be able to incorporate them, so go ahead and drop those down in the comment section. It killed me to take these brakes off because this is internally routed, so I cut off some perfectly good hydraulic hose just to be able to have this bike totally stripped to get a true weight of just the frame. I haven't seen that online for the aluminum bikes. That means all the internal cable routing's out, which is a bummer because the bike comes strung and the shop had it all set up, and well guys, that's where it is. Now, a couple of things to mention that I'm not sure about. So the fork, this is the RockShox 35. It's a pretty nice fork. It's a motion control damper. It's got Debon air. It's a 35 millimeter chassis. It's really pretty generally a nice fork, but I'm debating potentially changing that out to something else. So thinking about the fork, the only reason I'd want to change it is because I think there's some benefit to be had out of a new fork, and if I get rid of the fork before I use it, its value on the secondary market is going to be quite a bit higher. Now with that in mind, a couple of the forks I've been thinking about have been the Marzocchi Bomber Z1, the Fox 34, or potentially the RockShox Pike Select. Now the Bomber Z1 is neat because it's owned by Fox, which means it's basically a rhythm version of the Fox 36. So the Bomber Z1 has a fit grip damper, so it's got the grip damper, and then it's also going to have the 36 millimeter chassis, which means it's going to be pretty darn burly and rugged, so it'll be every bit as stiff as the RockShox 35 that comes on the bike, or maybe even more. Then your other option would be the Fox 34. It's going to be the lightweight option. It's going to allow you to save, right around 250 grams or so because it's a sub 2,000 gram fork. So that means you're going to save some weight, but it also has a smaller chassis. So the RockShox 35 has a 35 mil chassis. The 34 has a 34 millimeter chassis. So at that point, you're really giving up some of the burliness for that light weight. The last option would be the RockShox Pike Select. And the Pike Select is a pretty nice fork, but it's real similar to the 35 that's already on there. I mean, all the materials are different, and the damper and the air spring, it's really not that much. It's similar, but the overall look of the fork, the stiffness, things like that will all be the same. But that's brought me to one other thought, and that would be upgrading the damper in the fork. So the damper that's in there is the motion control damper, and it's pretty good. I've used some forks with that in the past, but if I went up to, say, that new Charger 2.1, that would be pretty sweet. And I don't know if it's possible, but it would make a good video trying it out. But they sell a Charger 2.1 upgrade kit for the RockShox Revelation, and the Revelation, at least by my eye, is very similar to this 35. So I wonder if that would fit in. And that would be a pretty cool way to keep the same fork, but get the damping capabilities of a much, much higher end fork. I think the handlebar and stem that would come with the bike are perfectly fine. Bontrager makes some pretty decent stuff, so I'm gonna leave that, rebuild it back up. Part of buying this bike was for the wheel set that you don't see on here, but those are the Bontrager Line Comp 30s, which is a pretty nice aluminum wheel set. Nothing's changing there. Now I should say I'm not going to keep the wheels 100% stock. I'm going to go tubeless with them. They are tubeless ready, and so are those Bontrager XR4 tires. But I'm also going to do the 108 tooth engagement hub upgrade. So it comes out of the box with 54 teeth because it's got 3 pawls in the free hub body. But for really short money, you can actually upgrade that to be a 6-pawl setup. So it goes from 54 tooth of engagement to 108 teeth. So I'm definitely going to get that done. The other thing is, if it gives you another hint, I got to swap the free hub body for the next group set that's going to go on this bike. But yeah, I think for the most part the bike's staying roughly stock, just with the exception of the drivetrain change and potentially that fork. So give me some thoughts down in the comment section. What would you build this bike up with? Did you expect that this was going to be the bike that I chose to get? And what do you think about the Trek Fuel? Personally, I'm pretty psyched and looking forward to building up this bike. I think it'll be a fun bike for the channel. I think it'll be a fun one to do some videos on building and mechanics and stuff like that as well. Well, thanks for watching the reveal on this new bike for the channel. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think about this. Be sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and while you're at it, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really lets me know that you enjoyed the video.